Popular supermarket chain Wegmans is now scanning customers' faces and storing the data. Wegmans says it's all about safety, but some shoppers worry it's an invasion of privacy. Investigative reporter Tim McNicholas shows us this growing trend.
Shoppers at this Wegmans supermarket at Broadway and A Street are greeted not just by the produce section, but by this new sign warning that the store is scanning customers' faces and storing information to help identify them.
It's kind of invading privacy. I can see that in a way. It's good, both good and bad, I guess.
You never know for what purpose the information is being collected.
Wegmans says it's all about safety and security. The company says it's now using cameras with facial recognition tools at a small number of stores, including this one, to identify people who've been previously flagged for misconduct.
So of course stores are trying to prevent that. At the same time, kind of puts the privacy of a person at risk.
It could be like a little nuisance, but at the end of the day, I don't think it would ever stop me from coming here.
You've seen facial recognition tools at the airport, but at some supermarkets, like Fairway and now Wegmans, the cameras are often out of sight. The New York City Council has been considering banning the practice since 2023, after the owner of Madison Square Garden started using it to block attorneys from events at its venues if their law firms are involved in cases with MSG.
If there is a hack or a breach of that data, you can't change your face like you would change a password.
Michelle Dahl is the executive director of the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, a nonprofit that fights for consumer privacy.
It's also a civil rights issue. We know that these systems disproportionately misidentify and burden communities that are already targeted by police most often.
Wegmans says it understands concerns about fairness or bias, and facial recognition systems are just one of several investigative tools it uses. The supermarket chain would not agree to an interview with us, but sent a statement saying it never shares the data it collects with any third party. The company says it eventually disposes of the images, but a spokesperson says due to security concerns, Wegmans can't reveal how long they hold on to them.
They probably do that in airports too, right? And I think this is more important than an airport. This is a part of my daily life.
I mean, I know shoplifting, so this is not a concern for me.
But like it or not, the barcode on your milk isn't the only thing getting scanned here. Tim McNicholas, CBS News, New York.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is. And that is who the world ignorantly calls God, Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? Which brings us to our discussion / topic tonight, all right? Which the chain or grocery store that goes by the name of Wegman is using biometrics, okay? Face recognition and who knows what else, all right? But why is this story important? Because it is a microcosm or microcosmic of what's to come, all right? Because although these people feel unease with knowing that this chain or grocery store is keeping their information on file, they still got to go there to grocery shop. Why? Because that's part of their essential needs. They need food, all right? Which is why this devil knows he can be brazen and upfront with it when he comes out with the mark of the beast, because people are going to need what? Their food, their water, their place of residence, so on and so forth. And they're going to take it, even though they know they shouldn't, because why? They have no other options, okay? That's why that video or news report is a microcosm of what's to come once the mark of the beast is made mandatory. Now let's look at this word microcosmic. It means relating to or being a microcosm, which is a miniature representation or a small scale version of a much larger system, which is what? This system that we see with the biometric scanning and showing your face and keeping your files and everything else on files to see who is who and what is a much larger scale of once the mark of the beast, that system being the beast system, is rolled out, you're going to be continuously surveillance, all right? Because why? You're going to have that chip from within you. It's going to track your every movement, your breath, your bowels, where you go, what you buy, so on and so forth. So you really need to get familiar with it and get used to it, because that's going to be the new way of life. Having your everyday walk of life being tracked. All right. And if you don't like it, guess what? You don't have to use it. But see, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, knows that for the most part, the people are dependent, and they're no longer independent as they once were, prior to all this government assistance and all this technology and so on and so forth. There was a time where the people were more independent, back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. All right. But now, in the age of technology, people are becoming more and more reliable on this technology and this information, which is why this devil knows that he can be brazen and, be forthcoming with it. Because why? You're going to use it because you need to get by in order to what? Buy and sell, as we're going to get into the scriptures. So it says microcosmic means relating to or being a microcosm, which is a miniature representation or a small scale version of a much larger system. In this case, it's the beast system, world, or universe, often reflecting the characteristics of the whole. It describes something that functions as a small, complete world in itself, like a classroom being a microcosm of society, or a ship being a microcosm of a civilization, notes Merriam-Webster. All right. So this little grocery store chain that has biometrics, scanning your face, getting your information, is just a much bigger scale of the beast system to come, or should I say a much smaller scale of the larger system to come, which is the beast system, which is going to track everything that you do via by the way of the RFID microchip. All right. So let's go ahead and get that in the book of Revelation. And this is the tracking system right here. This is Revelation 13:16. And it reads, and he, Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. This is going into the tracking, the surveillance, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And this is the way of by he's going to go about tracking you. All right. He says to receive a mark, which is the RFID microchip, in their right hand or in their forehead, which is the brain computer interface chip, and that no man or woman or child might buy or sell, because why? You're going to be tracked with the device, save or except he that had the mark, the RFID microchip, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Why? Because it's going to all be put onto that chip. And you're going to belong to whatever elite that has control over that number of the system that you're involved in, whether it's Europe, America, wherever else, okay? You belong to that elite, all right? And you're going to be tracked. And if you say something that you shouldn't say, you do something that you shouldn't do, they can easily cut your chip off, and you won't receive whatever it is that month that you need until you get in line with what the orders are. So it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Chi, psi, stigma. You look up that word stigma in the Greek, it goes into prick. You will be pricked with that hypodermic needle to put that RFID microchip underneath your skin. All right? So get used to it, okay? Surveillance is going to be the least of your problems once this beast system is up and running functionally, fully functionally. All right? Say something out against it or whatever, you're going to have issues to worry about. All right? This is why we're telling our people to what? Don't rely on the system. All right. You get your daily bread. And once they make this mandatory, we no longer receive our daily bread from this beast system, but we're going to return and solely rely on Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, which we should already be doing now, which is why we're telling our people to what? Seek Yahweh while he may be found. Isaiah 55:6. Because why? Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Isaiah 33 in verse 6, if I'm not mistaken. So once all hell breaks loose, you'll already be in the confines and comforts of this word, this truth through Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. So you won't have to rely on this system because it's coming, whether you believe it or not. All right? It's here. They're just waiting for the right time to make it mandatory. So let's close out. This wasn't that long. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober. Be vigilant. See, how much more signs do you need to see that what you knew of before is no longer, where you have the autonomous to go about and move how you want and use the dollar to not be tracked? All that's coming to an end. We are, if not already, entering into the age of surveillance and tracking. Get used to it, okay? Until we can't use the system anymore. Then we what? We flee. We no longer rely on this system, all right? Because why? We have our powers and we're going to rely solely on them to provide everything for us. Because we're commanded not to take the RFID microchip, and that's what it's going to come down to. Will you take it or won't you? All right? That's what it's coming down to. And if the Lord ain't with you, you're going to take it, all right? So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. All right? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.